Hi fatties, welcome back to the thicker side of love. It's your girl Fat Felicia. So today we're gonna have our first serious conversation for the year, and I think it's like the first serious conversations that I'm doing for the channel like in a very long time. I've been doing like a lot of vlogs, but yeah. So today is my mother's birthday. It is my mother's 12th heavenly birthday, so it's her 12th birthday since my mother died. For those of you who didn't know, I am Felicia Madikane and I'm an orphan. Yeah. So first of all, my mother's name was Zukizwa Sheila Mazaleni, who became Nolita Madikane when she got married. So like a lot of people know her as Nolita Madikane. Yeah, so my mother's birthday is today. And unfortunately she died on the 3rd of May in 2011. I was 8 at that time, very young, but yeah, it's life. She died, and today I don't know, I felt like I wanted to like honor her today in this way, and like making a video where I speak about her, because after she died, for the longest time I almost did not even like acknowledge her. I didn't like even acknowledge the fact that I once had a mother who was her. So I realized that this year I'm turning 21. That's a very big milestone, and 21 of the 12 of those 21 years I have lived without her. And I was like, I feel like it's time that I find the courage to speak about her without like holding back, and just honor her this way. So I want to speak about like how I found out, like the fears that I have and I've heard and I've had, yeah, and I've had after losing her. I want to speak about like how life has been. I want to speak about what I'm sad about, because losing a mother is like very sad. As much as we always try to like hold this front, we like these strong women or these strong people who are just like living life without parents, but it's like it's very hard and it's sad. And yeah, I want to speak about like people's perceptions, because a lot of people's perceptions about like an orphan are very troubling to me. I don't agree with them, but yeah. So today I'm going to speak about my mom. So firstly, how did I find out? My mom died on the 3rd of May, if I'm not mistaken, 2011. And I remember I knew my mom was sick. Like that's I knew my mom was sick. I was told that my mom was sick, to the point that my sister, who is the second born, at some point she had to go to Eastern Cape to go like take care of her. So it was like that was not hidden from me. I knew that she was sick. Then but like when your parent is sick, or when anyone is sick for that matter that you care about, you don't think that one day you're gonna wake up, or in my case one day you're gonna be fetched from school and be told that, okay, I'll send her mama Konda, your mom is dead. Like you don't think about that. Like you just hope and pray that whatever they're going through, they're gonna like get through it. But yeah, so my mom died. I remember I was in grade 3 and I was in class. Then my sister came with my cousin. But the cousin that she came with, she was like a bit older than us, to the point that like when I was younger, I used to call her Magazi, which is aunt. But she was like my cousin. She came and she fetched me. But I could feel I don't know. There was just something that like I could feel that something wasn't right. I could feel that something has happened, and they didn't tell me. They came to fetch me. They spoke to my teacher, and we left. And on our way home, I remember we went to this fish and chips place. So we went to buy their parcel, and we were waiting. If I remember correctly, my sister spoke to somebody there, somebody she knew. And you know how parents or like how older people speak when like in the presence of like a younger person, and they think that they don't want like the person to like know what they're speaking about, so they speak in riddles. But I could feel like that, okay, shit has hit the fan. Like it happened, something happened. Like I could feel, even if I don't think I wanted to like acknowledge the feeling that I was feeling, because it wasn't something that I reacted on, but I could just feel that something was wrong or something had happened. Anyway, we get home, we get to my cousin's place, and they tell me, yes, suspicious. You know, your mom was sick. Nah, 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 nah. Well, now she's dead. Yeah, guys, I remember I cried. But I don't think like I cried a lot, but I remember I cried. And I remember at some point my cousin was like, writing book, and I was like, yeah, and right. And I remember they sent me to the shop, and you know this feeling of feeling like the world is like has like opened in half, or it's like falling apart. I remember when I was walking to the shop, that's like the feeling that I had. Like that's how I felt. And after that, I don't remember much. For the following weeks, I remember that I had to go to live at my cousin's place because I still had to go to Eastern Cape to go to like the funeral preparations and stuff. But I don't remember much. Like I don't remember a lot. I remember that my cousin who was in high school at that time would bring ibiga ze pelepele. Like every time I see them, I just think of that week. Like she would bring me those when she's coming back from school, because for some time I didn't go to school. So she would bring me those, and yeah, like, but I don't remember much. And we went to Eastern Cape. We buried my mom, and that is the singlest, saddest day of my life. Like nothing. I don't think anything will ever match the day, or well, nothing as of yet has like matched that day. It was the saddest day of my life. I don't think I like it. Like it also like made much sense at that time, but I could feel like it was very sad. And I remember the following day. So there was this truck in our yard in the Eastern Cape, and there were like kids from my village. They were like playing in the truck, and this one girl was like, Konda, that tent, they said it was your mother's funeral. I was like, no, my mother is not dead. That was one of the, I had a lot of like episodes where I denied that my mom died, but that was like the very first one I remember. I was like, no, my mom's not dead. That wasn't like my mom's funeral. Anyway, another thing, like when I think about my mom's passing, that makes me sad is that Sunday after her funeral. I remember we have like we ate corner, like it's like a rendezvous, but like at our house it's like made into like 8 corners, so it's called 8 corner. So we had like a family meeting after that, and they were discussing about what's gonna happen with me now. Hey, I remember like I don't remember crying much during my mother's funeral, but I remember so people were speaking about, I remember my uncle was like, oh no, he's willing to take me in. He lived in Mthatha, so I'll be close to home. Whenever my grandfather wants me to go back home, like he can always take me home. And it was sad. Like it's like you are like an object that people are like discussing about what's gonna happen with you. And I remember I left there and I went to the bathroom, to the toilet. Well, I went to the toilet and I cried. Because now, like, I feel like that was when like reality started kicking in about, okay, I'm not Moko. And people are discussing what's gonna happen to you, so you're like a burden. And I don't know, but that's like how I felt. I wouldn't have used the word burden at that time, but when I reflect to that like time, that's how I think I felt. But yeah, anyway, that's how I find out. But like moving forward from that, it was weird. It was weird. I feel like I went into this like autopilot, this zone where I was just doing. I was like Nicki Minaj has that verse that says, "To live doesn't mean you're alive." I think for a good while after my mom's death, I wasn't alive. I was living, cause and to prove that, I don't remember much. Like I don't have a lot of memories of my mom or of my childhood before she died, but that's the same after she died. I don't like I remember few people, like I don't remember a lot of people from my childhood. I don't know if that's normal. Maybe other people who are 8-year-olds also don't remember a lot, but I remember I have this friend from high school. She would tell me like whenever we'd pass a primary, but oh, we used to play there, oh miss so and so, oh this and that from my class. And I'm like, I don't remember like most of my classmates. I don't remember most of my teachers. Like, okay, there's one teacher that I don't remember. There's two teachers that I don't remember their names, which was around like the time that my mom passed. And I'm like, I don't know if it's normal that you forget, but I feel like I went into like a survival wherever, like where I was just like living. And it's sad, like, to think about it, Ngoku, it's sad. Like, I don't wish losing a parent for anyone, but I don't wish I'm losing a parent that young for anyone. So yeah, that was that. Then I remember, like, years went by, and I don't think I really allowed myself to deal with it, because I even remember my sister would always say, "But Rhonda, why do you never speak about her? Rhonda, why do you never ask questions about her? Rhonda, why do you never cry?" Because I, like, like even this day, like, I cry about my mom when I'm not okay. If I'm in raise, maybe, I don't know. I don't know, like, it's hard. Like, I can't cry in front of people, like I always, but I feel like as years went by, I've allowed myself to, like, go through the motions. But for the longest time I didn't. For the longest time I feel like I was in denial, to the point that I know when I was in grade six, I changed school, so I went to a new school, and there nobody knew me. Nobody knew that my mom died, and I feel like that is when I started lying. I'll be like, "Oh, my mom lives in Joburg. My mom is a doctor. She lives in Joburg. She's okay. She's just busy. She can't, like, I can't live with her. Blah 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 blah." And what's ironic about that is I always wonder, like, now, that the people that I used to lie to, did they really believe me, or were they just, like, playing along and laugh behind my back about, "Oh, Gonda the liar"? Like, I really, really wonder. And the first person that I've, like, even, like, admitted to that, okay, my mom died, was my best friend at that time, and that was in grade 7, and my mom died in grade 3. And in grade 7 was but I still, even with her, she would always, like, be like, "Gonda, I talk to you, I tell you about, like, my deepest, darkest secrets. I tell you about, like, the things that I go through, but when you never speak about the one thing that I want you to speak about is, how do you feel about your mom passing?" I think maybe the reason why, like, I never spoke about it was I didn't, like, really understand how I felt. I don't think I really understood what it meant. But yeah, that was that. Hey, and what's crazy is now I just remember that after I came back from my mom's funeral, there was this girl. She was in the class next to mine, and we had a life skills period, and they took us outside with both our classes. They took us outside, and we were doing, like, the physical education thing. And she was like, "Guys, let's include Ukonda. Her mom just passed away." And for some reason that stuck with me, that moment. I don't know how I feel about it, I don't know how I felt about it, but it just stuck with me that one day that somebody wanted to include me simply because my mom passed. If I'm honest though, I think I hate it. Okay, I don't like it, because I never want to be treated differently simply because I'm now an orphan who doesn't have parents. I never want to be treated differently, especially if you knew me before I told you that my mom passed. I don't want you to treat me differently. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Yeah, your sympathy, your pity, just only just a little. Like, I hate being the center of attention like that. I hate when I see people, like, feeling sorry for me, because I've done that enough for myself. I feel like I've felt sorry for myself enough, and I've tried to move from that. And I hate it when, like, a person, like, reacts like that to me. And I think maybe that's why that moment stuck with me, because I low-key don't like it, but I don't remember how I responded to it at that time. But right now I feel like I don't like it. Like, don't yeah, nah, I don't like it. But yeah, anyway, so fears that, okay, so my mom died on the 3rd of May in 2011. In 2010 I moved to Cape Town. I remember when my mom told me that, like, in 2009, that, okay, next year you're gonna go live in Cape Town with your sisters, and she was, like, hyping it up, hyping it up, hyping it up. I remember one of the conversations that I'm a last born child, and I feel like I had last born tendencies at that time, because I remember one of the conversations that we had was, "Okay, Konda, you're gonna go live in Cape Town with Osista Bako. You're gonna live in a 2-bedroom house." She was, like, explaining, and there was a house that was, like, a flat in our village, and she was like, "Okay, your house is gonna look like that, like, it's similar to that." And she was like, "Don't give your siblings a hard time, because I'm not gonna be there." And that stuck with me, because I remember before that, amas umvubo, which is umvubo, like, I didn't eat it with amas. I used to eat it with Ibisi, and but automatically for some reason when I came to Cape Town, I started eating it with Ibisi. And like when I think of moments like that, I feel like my mom knew she was gonna die, because why prepare me like that for a life without you when you are still alive? Because I feel like the things that like would happen, like that happened, like building up to her actually dying, was almost like a preparation for her, for me, because I feel like maybe she felt, and I think that if things never would have happened the way they would have, the transition of living without her would have been so much harder, because as much as she was still alive, but I had a year of practice of a life without her when I was in Cape Town, where now I was only with my siblings, and I only saw her in December of that year. And I think that was like a preparation, like for some, I don't know if that's me trying to comfort myself that at least she had control in that sense of trying to protect me, or trying to prepare me in that way. I don't know if that was the reality or if it was just a coincidence, but that's just something that I like telling myself. And the last memory I have of my mom was that January. So in 2011 January, when my sister and I were coming back to Cape Town from the Eastern Cape, and she went with us to town to go catch a bus. And while we were sitting there waiting for it to be full, she sat on this hill. There's like this hill next to where the buses are. She sat there until the bus started like moving out. And as it was moving out, she stood and she waved. And that's the last memory I have of her. I had a phone. I assume, because she used to call me, I assume that she called me between January and May. I don't know, I don't remember. But that is the one last solid memory I have of her, of that final goodbye. Because that's literally, she waved as like the bus was like getting out of town, and that's the last memory I have of her. And I guess it's comforting, I guess, to think that at least I had like an opportunity to say, okay, bye bye mama, even if I didn't know that that goodbye that we were having that day was like the final goodbye. But yeah, I think I get comfort in knowing that at least I got the chance to say goodbye. At least she was able to prepare me as much as she could for like a life without her. So I feel like that gives me comfort. And a fear that I have, or fears that I have, or that I've always had, is the fear of forgetting her. Because as I said, like I was in like autopilot. I don't think it's something that I chose for myself, but I think it was just a trauma response of some kind that my body went into, or my brain went into, where it just shut everything. I think that's why I can't remember most of my childhood. But that led to the fear that one day I'm gonna wake up and I'm not gonna remember her. The fear that like one day I'm gonna wake up and all like the memories that I have of her will be like wiped out. And sometimes I'm angry at myself. I'm like, why would you allow your brain to like block out so much? And now like it is like a huge possibility that you're gonna forget this woman. I know like it's almost impossible because I have my siblings, and I can like her, because her memories, or like her, she still lives through them, so I don't think I would ever like forget her. But it's still a fear that I have, and I think it's driven by the fact that I've forgotten how my mother's voice sounded. The only the only idea of how her voice sounded was this voice. I think there was just something different about the way she used to say Gonda. Like when you're closer, there's only one way to say Gonda, but there was just something different. Well, to me, in my brain, I think there was just something different about how she used to say my name, and but I can't remember her voice. Um, I can't really remember her smile. I can't remember how she smelled. I remember her face, but sometimes I don't even know if I remember her face because of pictures, or if I remember her face because I remember her face. Like that's just something that like I always ask myself. So like that's one fear that losing her that like has brought like forgetting. Like I'm scared. Yeah, guys. It's like it's yeah. I'm very 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 scared that one day I'm gonna wake up and I'm not gonna have memory of her. And I feel like that's, to me, it feels like betrayal, because it feels like, why am I forgetting her? Like it feels like I'm betraying her by like forgetting her in that way. But it's something that I'm working towards, and it's something that I hope, at least the few memories that I still have of her, that I'm gonna hold on, well, as hard as I can. It's one thing that I've told myself, that I'm gonna hold on to them, and hopefully they never slip away from me. And maybe someday I'm gonna remember some of the memories that I've forgotten. And yeah, but it's sad, man. It's sad, to be honest, to think of your parent as like a memory, because she's still my parent, but now she's more of a memory than like my parent. But yeah, and what losing like my parent, like the things that like make me sad the most is when I look at my nieces and I'm like, yo, they will never experience that woman like my mom. Like I know it's natural to idealize like a parent, but my mom was amazing. And as much as I don't remember her, but the few memories that I have of her um, are of an amazing woman. And it's sad to think that my nieces will never experience that. It's sad that my nieces have missed out on a grandparent like that. It's sad to think that they will never, like to them, their grandmother is just somebody who's in a picture. And we always joke around, like when they ask, "Wa, upo mama?" And I'm like, "Oh, mama, feel." Like we always joke around like with things like that, but it's deeper than that. Like I feel like I'm sad for them, like I'm sad for myself that I am I've gone through like 12 years of my 21 years without her, but I'm sad that they will never experience that. So but yeah, that's life, I guess. And it's just something that it's just yet another thing that I have to like learn to deal with. I haven't dealt with my mother's passing like as as much as I think you would expect, that after 12 years that a person would have like dealt with it. I don't think I've dealt with it, because for the longest time I just didn't allow myself to like actually like work towards actually like healing. And I think it's all very very like new to me, in a sense. Like grief is like very new to me. Maybe it's because now I'm starting to understand what it means to not have a parent. Like I think now it's starting to like sink in. The older I get, the more sense it makes, because now I'm turning 21 and she's gonna miss out on that. I might graduate soon, she's gonna miss out on that. I might get married, she's gonna miss out on that. I finished high school, she missed out on that. Like the older I get, and the more milestones that I notice that she's missed, and when I think about the more milestones that she will miss, it makes it hard to move on, I guess. But I think I've healed. If you would look at the me that I am now and the me that I was maybe in grade 9, I think I've healed. I think I've learned to move on. I've learned to accept the pain, as much as it's still very hard for me to like sit down and speak to a person about like my grief and acknowledge my grief. But I think I've come like a very 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 long way, starting from when I was in grade 7, and I opened up to my friend about my mother's passing. I think I've come a long way. And I remember in grade 12 we were doing poems in Afrikaans, and my teacher was like, we were doing this one poem, so she was also like reflecting on her life, and she was like, time heals, but only time only heals when you allow it to heal. And I think for the longest time I didn't allow myself to heal. I lied about my mom being alive. I didn't even acknowledge her sometimes. I just acted like everything was fine. But I didn't allow myself to like go to grieve her. So I was sort of like stuck in one spot. And I'm grateful that the older I get, like I've gotten the strength to try to move past that, the strength to try to move on from that. But I don't think I will ever be okay. Like it's I lost my mom. my mom didn't choose to leave me, but she left, and that hurt. That still hurts 12 years later. And because I've experienced that much pain in my life, that sort of has like rippled in like all my other aspects of my life. Like in friendships, well, I think in friendships I gave myself more in friendships than in any other type of relationship, like romantic relationships, because I don't know, friendship feels safer. So I don't give all of myself into friendships, but I think I give a lot more than I do in relationships. And I think that comes from the fear of getting hurt again, because it's natural, I think, to try to protect yourself from like pain like that. And I think because I've experienced the greatest pain to date of my life, I just try and avoid all other types of like emotional pains. So I think that's one thing, that's one way that like losing a parent like has affected me. I don't think it's because I lost at a young age. I think regardless of when I would have lost it, I would still would have like more or less reacted the same way that I'm reacting today, where I'm like very avoidant, where I just stay at arm's length. Like that's like I prefer people like staying at arm's length like that. I don't choose it, but sometimes I just notice like, well, okay, sure, it happened, but it's something that I'm working towards. It's something that still needs healing, I guess. But yeah, I also want to speak about people's perceptions of an orphan, or people's perceptions of me once they find out, or once they find out that I don't have a mother or a father, and versus to like before. Because I've noticed that I remember 2 years ago I was I was in an Uber. I went to buy my niece's stuff. It was her birthday, so I went to buy like a cake and stuff. So I was like in an Uber with this guy, and we were talking, and it came up that okay, I'm studying in Stellenbosch, and she was like, he was like very impressed by that, but he was even more impressed when he found out that I don't have parents. I understand that like some people just like spiral out of control once like they lose like a parent, but I don't want people to see me in that light. I don't want once a person starts once a person realizes that I don't have parents, like start judging me in that light. Allow me to be me, and allow me to show you like what I'm capable of. Don't just judge my destiny, or judge my journey, or judge my character based on the fact that I don't have parents. So that's like something that I struggle a lot, because I remember even like once we got home and he parked like outside of my house and I was getting out, he was even impressed that our home looks decent, because he even asked, are you sure that you're only living with your siblings? Because why? Because it didn't make sense to him, because it's not normal for a person without parents to want something for themselves, to want a future for themselves, to want to do like something better with for themselves. So that's like one perception that I will never be okay with. And I don't know if it's because mna I refuse to 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 use my mother's name, or to use my mother's passing like that. I refuse to use her as an excuse to misbehave. I refuse to use the fact that I've lost her as an excuse to not want something better for myself, because I feel like that's disrespect for her. I understand that another person might feel differently, but for me personally, that's just how I feel. I want to achieve in life. I want to do things for her, and just hope and pray that wherever she is, that she's proud. And yeah, I don't know, but it's just like a perception that I don't know, I'm not yeah, I'm not okay with, and I don't think I'll ever be okay with. Then I remember a few days ago I was watching this podcast, and Trevor Noah was speaking on there, and he said something along the lines that I will never be grateful for the pain and suffering, but I will always be grateful for the resilience that was a result of that, or something along those lines. And I think that like stuck with me, because I will never be grateful that I lost my mother at 8 years old. I will never be grateful that my sisters had to like grow up very fast and take care of me. I will never be grateful for the pain and the grief and everything that like followed after passing, but I'm grateful for my siblings. I'm grateful that they were able to stick by me for as long as they did. I'm grateful that we were like resilient enough to rise above that. I'm grateful that I'm still here today, and I'm grateful that I'm able to speak about her, and I'm able to speak about her memory. But I don't want people to have this perception that be grateful that your siblings are like were there for you, because I feel like in a way it takes away, like it's almost like about when I say, oh, I don't have an orange, and you're like, but you have an apple. Yeah, I do have an apple, but I still don't have an orange. I have my siblings. I'm grateful for the support that they have provided with me with. I'm grateful for everything that like God has like put me through, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that I don't have a parent, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think grief is a very, very sensitive topic to speak about. Other people see it differently, other people work through it differently. But I just wanted to speak about like my experience and how I've experienced grief and how I've tried to deal with it. And I just hope that one day I'm gonna be okay enough to allow myself to do the things that I can't do today, to do in a way. But it's life, I guess. We learn to deal with it. I'm grateful that I'm still here, and I'm grateful that I can like speak about it, and I'm grateful that it's my mother's birthday, and I'm able to acknowledge that, because for the longest time, once a year I would hear my sister speaking about, but oh, it's mom's birthday today. But I think I started taking note on of when exactly her birthday was a few years ago. Before that, I would just know just that once a year, somewhere in March, I would be told it's her birthday, but I didn't like make a mental note that on the 25th is my mother's birthday. So I'm grateful for the journey that I am still like within, and for the progress that I've like, for the progress that's, I don't know. Yeah, it's sad, it sucks. I will never be okay with it. I will never wish it upon anyone. Like losing a friend, guys. Yo, but that's life, I guess. But yeah, guys, that is that for today. Thank you for sticking around for as long, if you're still here. But that was my story. That was like a tribute to my mom, and that is something that I thought I should do for her birthday today. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Thickers Out of Life.